Hey guys, it's Megan. Welcome back to the library and another video. Today is my summer TBR. I'm not gonna lie, it's ambitious and it's probably not accurate. I always pick out all these books and then I wind up reading different books, but you know what? I decided to put some on my radar as books I might read. We're just gonna go through them really quickly because I don't have time to give you a plot summary of all these books. So I'm just gonna kind of tell you what they are and like why I wanna read them. The first is actually a reread. I wanna reread Vicious and maybe even Vengeful, the sequel, because I haven't read it in forever and it was a 5-star read for me last year. It's one of my favorite books now of all time. And I've only read it once and I listened to it on audio, so I kind of wanted to read it physically. So I think I will reread that. I also would like to continue in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series. I bought this bind up for literally like, I think it was $3 for all 5 books. I reread the first one. It smells kind of like mildewy or moldy or something. I read the first one last month or 2 months ago and it was good. Like I think I gave like 3.5 stars. And so I kind of want to try the second one just to see if it's any better because I might not continue the series if the second one isn't a little bit better, but I'm excited about trying it. Now, as far as, I think that's all like oh no, there's one more reread. My other reread is going to be Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl because this is my favorite young adult thriller mystery. I can't even describe to you like what genre this book is. There's some sci-fi, like kind of a fantastical element. The cover is not accurate at all. I feel like this is a terrible cover. It does not tell you what this book's about. It looks realistic, but it's not. And I absolutely loved it and I cannot highly recommend this enough for a weird book. There's even kind of a time aspect in it, like not time travel, but like a time loop kind of thing. And I love that. So I'm definitely gonna read that one. Now, I think that's actually it for the rereads. Yeah. Okay, then I'm gonna read a book that I just got recommended by Jessie May. She recommends this book for a summer read. It's called All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. Never read anything by this author. I know she writes a lot of like mystery thrillers. The only thing I know is that it's told backwards, like the movie Memento, which I really enjoyed. And I love a unique storytelling aspect. Like if there's something weird that makes it stand out and it's not just a normal mystery, I'm all for that. Now, funny story, I have the ebook, the audiobook, and the physical copy, all from the library. So I keep checking though to make sure that nobody else has it on hold because I don't want to take up, 3 copies of the book when they could have one. But I thought if I had a physical copy or the ebook to go along with the audio, it might help me because I think it's going to be kind of confusing, at least for the first little bit of it, just because, well, you literally start at the end of the story. So it also looks very summery with the Ferris wheel. And of course, I love theme parks. Got married at a theme park. Literally went to a theme park yesterday. So I'm going to definitely read that. In fact, I want to start it like ASAP, especially because I have the library copy and I have to eventually return it. Other books, let's see. Okay, well, this one's a prequel. I don't know why I'm kind of looking at books in series now. This is massive. It's A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. Honestly, I wanted to own my own copy because even though, so the first book was Priory of the Orange Tree and I read it a couple years ago and I liked it. I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't like an all-time favorite. I'd honestly probably never reread it, but it was a standalone fantasy, except that now there's a prequel. And I got it for my birthday. My parents got me this book and I wanted it because it's so pretty. 2 reasons really. 1, because it's absolutely beautiful and I want to display it like on my bookshelves. But 2, because it is supposedly better than the first book in the series. And 2, because it's so big that I knew I could never get through the library copy. Like it would just take me too long to read. I can't read this much of it. I can't listen to like a 30-hour long audiobook. I just can't do it, even if I speed it up. So I thought I'll have to read it physically and it'll take me so long that I literally won't even be able to finish it before it's due at the library. So that's why I bought this book. Well, I also got another book at the library. I've really got to get on these because they're big and I've got to return them. But this one is Art of the Prophecy, the book 1 of the War Arts Saga by Wesley Chu, and I know nothing except that Jade from JD Rereads says it's one of her favorite reads this year, and I think she's even getting ready to reread it, even though she just read it, I think, or I could be wrong, but anyway, she loved it, and I got the audiobook too, but I thought I could follow along physically. It's just so long. I think it is like 30 hours. I don't even know. Well, it's like 500 pages, so it could be worse. Oh, there's a map. Ooh, what a pretty map. It's literally in color. You don't see that too often. Ooh, there's one in the back too. Yes, there is. Look at that. How pretty. Wesley Chu. I feel like I've heard that name, but I don't know what he writes. It looks like nothing I've ever heard of. But yeah, anyway. Don't know anything about what it's about, but we're going to read it. Next, I got a couple of books from the school library. I'm going to try Remarkably Bright Creatures. All I know is it's about an octopus. I mean, I think it's about more than just an octopus, but it's supposed to be really good. And I just covered it the other day with like this covering with this film stuff, and it's one of my best covering jobs I've done. It's just so perfect. Nothing sticking up funny on the top. and I'm very proud of myself, and I'm gonna read it, and it's very slick, and I like it very much. But I think it's more of it even says there's like a detective sort of mystery, but I think it's really mostly like realistic fiction, which is not normally my thing. But apparently this connection that this woman makes, it's a widow's connection with a giant Pacific octopus, and it says it's charming and witty and explores friendship, reckoning, and hope. So I don't know, we'll try it. The other book I got here from the school library that I brought home was Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I did not realize how big it was. It's really big. I'll probably listen to this on audio. Probably the other one too, probably Remarkably Bright Creatures. I just like to have the physical book though, in case I want to follow along just like a little bit to go with it. So all I know is it's something about people bond over video games. Video game design. It's about video game design, but it's not really. It's, the story spans like 30 years. It's more about like realistic fiction and like it's a love story, but I feel like the video game part of it is what will make me want to read it. So, I mean, it's also really pretty, and everybody and their brother has read this book. Ooh, look how pretty on the back. John Green is the first blurb there. So, Aaron Morgenstern though. Ooh, The Starless Sea. Ooh, that's one of my least favorite books I've ever read in my entire life. So, that's not a good sign. But we're going to try it, and then maybe, now this is just a maybe. Hyperion by Dan Simmons. This is the start of I think 5-book sci-fi series that is very epic. I think it's very involved. It looks pretty sci-fi on the cover with this weird like machine thing. The Shrike. Yeah, it's a creature called the Shrike, and it says there are those who worship it, there are those who fear it, and there are those who have vowed to destroy it. In the Valley of the Time Tombs, where there are huge brooding structures that move backward through time, the Shrike waits for them all. Okay, I don't even want to know more. That sounds so amazing though. So like I 100% want to read this. Brittany from Books with Brittany, she read this and like it's one of her favorite series ever now. So I'm going to try it and we'll see. I've not been into sci-fi very much, but we're going to give it a chance. I'm also going to try, don't laugh at me, throwing a glass. I think it's my last endeavor into Sarah J. Maas, and I know that people say that like the first 2, in fact I just met with a friend the other day and she told me that if I can get to book 3 that I'd be doing all right. So they get better, and I know that, but it's a big commitment to read 2 books that aren't really probably that good. And I say that, and then I tell people like the Dresden Files, I'm like, just get through at least the book 3 books, and book 4 gets better, and then book 5's like amazing, and then it's really good after that. So I mean, I'm guilty of telling people that myself. So I've read, I DNF'd Crescent City and thought it was terrible. I hated the writing style. It was so like juvenile. And then I did read A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and I liked the first 2 books, and that was it. So we'll try it and we'll see how it goes. Now, the other one's another like last try kind of for me. Sorry, I keep like shaking the camera. This is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. The first one's called The 100,000 Kingdoms. I got the bind up of it, so it's 3 books in one, because oh my gosh, that would be insane. It's not just one book. It's like 1,500. Yeah, it's 1,500 pages. But I got this book for I think $15. Yeah, I got it for $15 used at a bookstore, like a really cool bookstore here in Lexington, Kentucky. It's called like Black Cat Books. I don't know. It was really cool. But anyway, this book, I'm trying it because I read the 5th season and really liked it, but I did not like the 2 sequels. And then I tried The City We Became and DNF'd it like halfway through because it just wasn't for me. And her writing style is weird. She has one of the weirdest writing styles like I've ever read. And I just don't know if she's for me, although I did like the 5th season. So I'm gonna give this one more chance because this is more like high epic fantasy from what I gather. I think it'll be more my kind of thing. So I don't know. We're gonna at least read the first one, and maybe I shouldn't have bought the whole bind up, but it was there and I bought it. So there we go. Now the last one in this box, we're just gonna move this box out of the way because I do have some other ones I don't have physical copies of I want to show you. This was an impulse buy. It's called Paint My Name in Black and Gold, The Rise of the Sisters of Mercy. So there's a band from England, kind of like an underground, I think they sort of started more like underground in, well, it says the post-punk scene in the 1980s. And like, they're still around. They don't make new music, but they still like perform live and stuff. But they're called Sisters of Mercy, and they're one of my favorite bands. And don't laugh at me. You should totally go look them up, but they're absolutely amazing. And I had no idea that there was a gigantic biography about them. I don't think it's, is it with New Four? Oh, co-founder. Okay, so it is like the co-founder of the band even does like the intro. So it is a approved, whatever that's called. I can't think of the word for it. Like where they've actually like, you know, it's not one that they don't approve of. But anyway, it's basically, it says that this band was, it says amid the violence and decay, the city was home to, the city of Leeds was home to an extraordinarily vibrant post-punk scene. Out of the swamp crawled the Sisters of Mercy. Over the next 5 years, they would rise from local heroes to leading alternative band before blowing apart on the verge of major rock stardom. Their path was strewn with brilliant singles, astonishing EPs, exceptional album tracks, and legendary live shows. So it talks about the classic lineup. Andrew Eldritch is the main guy that sings the vocals. He's the main dude right there. His last name's Eldritch, which is the coolest thing ever. I'm sure that's not his real name. I mean, right, there's no way that his last name is Eldritch, but that's so cool. So there's interviews with the band, and it's the most complete account yet of how, against the odds and all reasonable expectation, these young men came to make transcendent and life-changing music. So yeah, it's rock music, but and kind of goth, sort of, I feel like. I don't know, maybe I'm not describing it right, but I don't know how to describe it. But I loved it, and I had no idea that they had this giant biography, and there's some pictures in the middle, not very many pictures. Oh, whoa, he's eating something. That's weird. What is he eating? He doesn't even tell. It looks like a frog. That's gross. Anyway, so I definitely plan on reading this physically. I don't even know if there is an audiobook, so I kind of have to read it physically. Let's quickly go through, I don't even know how long this video is at this point, but we're going to quickly go through some of the other books that I want to read that are not physical books that I own or can get a hold of easily. So I do want to read, What the Dog Saw and Other Adventures by Malcolm Gladwell, because I'm still doing Kayla from Books and Lala's Buzzwordathon challenge. So every month I have to read a book that has a certain word in it or a certain type of word. In May last month, it was read a book with a spice or a seasoning in the title, and salt was one of them. So I did House of Salt and Sorrows, which I actually really enjoyed. I might go back and give it 4 stars now that I think about it. I think about that book a lot, and it was really good. So I am going to read, so the book was, the word this time was other. I have to read a book with other in the title. And I didn't have very many, but it was short stories with something and other stories, So this one's called What the Dog Saw and Other Adventures. Yeah, and I just know that I like the one Malcolm Gladwell book I read called Outliers. It's nonfiction. I actually have no idea what this one's about, but I liked his other book, so I'm gonna try it. For July, I have to read a book with weather in the title, so I have a couple options. I could read Ninth Rain, because it's got rain in the title, because it's weather, but I don't think it's actually about rain so much, but because I hear a lot about this. I don't think I'm gonna like it, but it's epic high fantasy dragons. I don't know. Elle from Elliot Brooks talks about it all the time. I could read Rainbow Grey, which I really want to read because Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin talks about it, and it's a middle grade book, but I think it's about unicorns and magic, and there's a rainbow, so I'm pretty sure the main character is a unicorn. And she has rainbow colors. So, why would I not read that? The other one would be, Bright Storm. Yeah, I've heard of Bright Storm because Jade from JD Reread talks about this book all the time, by Vashti Hardy, I think's her name. I don't know what it's about, but I think it's either middle grade or young adult, maybe middle grade. So that's a possible option, but I'm probably gonna pick Rainbow Grey, honestly. For August, you have to do something with a body part. So I had 3 options for this, which is The Witch's Heart. Basically what I did, by the way, is I went through my Goodreads TBR, which is 430 books, and just scrolled through them and decided looked to see which ones have body parts in them. So The Witch's Heart, which I think is a retelling of something about Loki. I'm pretty sure a witch that falls in love with Loki or something like that. I don't know. And I like Loki, so I thought, that'd probably be a good option. House with Good Bones, which is the new T. Kingfisher book. I think it's a novella, so that would be a nice short one. And I have read 4 T. Kingfisher books at this point, and I like most of them. So, I might give this one a shot. Or Slewfoot, I'm gonna count it because it's got foot in it, by Brom, because I've only read one book by Brom so far, and it was real weird. It was called Lost Gods, and I hear that this one's really weird too, but it sounds really good. I actually just saw it the other day in a bookstore, and it sparked my interest in it again. So I can't remember what it's about. I'm pretty sure it's horror, and it's really, really weird, and maybe mystery. But anyway, totally gonna read probably that one. Out of the 3, that's the one I'm the most interested in, even though it would be better to save it for Halloween time, but whatever. I also just got a whole bunch of audiobooks. I got the audiobook, The Malevolent 7 by Sebastian de Castell, and I don't know anything about this book except that Jay from JD Reread talks about it all the time. Alan from the Library of Alexandria talks about it all the time, and apparently the characters are not very likable. They're all very morally gray, so I'm definitely gonna read that one. I'm gonna jump on the hype train, and I'm gonna read The Serpent and the Wings of Night because everybody's reading this. It's fantasy romance. I mean, I'm reading Fourth Wing right now, so I guess I'm into fantasy romance again. So everybody and their brother's reading this, and I guess it's like the biggest thing ever right now, like Sarah J. Maas kind of level hype. So I think there's 2 books out in the series right now, or maybe all 3 are out. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to read it. We'll see. I'm also going to read a ridiculous book called That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon because Lexi from Alexandra Rosalind talks about it all the time, and it's apparently really funny. It's like a spicy romance, but it's obviously very funny because she gets drunk and saves a demon and falls in love with him. So I'm going to read The Counselors. I keep saying I'm going to buy Jessica Goodman. I keep saying I'm going to read this book. I put it on every TBR every month. It's a summary book. It's a mystery at a summer camp. It is young adult. And I know somebody else who's read it that was like, 3 stars, it was fine. But I love books. I love summer camp stories. Like, I love them, and all I want to do is read a summer camp story in the summer. So I'm going to read this one. I'm going to read Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent because also I guess it's fantasy romance, and everybody and their brother's talking about it. I don't know what it's about. I just know it's fantasy romance, and I got the audiobook, so we're going to read it. And finally, we're going to read Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. I got the audiobook for that. It's some sort of high fantasy, political, I think this is more like political intrigue kind of fantasy, and it's a trilogy, and they're all real chunky, and I think it's a finished trilogy, and Jade from JD Rereads talks about this one. She just read it and loved it, which I've not loved a lot of the books that Jade has loved, which is kind of funny because she's like my favorite booktuber, but I just enjoy watching her, I guess, but I'm going to give it a try. Honestly, the other books I had on my list, I've already finished reading, so I'm not going to put them on this list now because I already finished them, but you'll see them in my wrap up. However, I am in the middle of Fourth Wing, so I'm gonna finish that. I'm like not quite 50% of the way through, and it's getting better. Like, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought it was gonna be bad. I just expected to hate it, and I expected to DNF it, but I'm not gonna DNF it, and I'm actually having a good time. I'm kind of enjoying myself. I would not say it lives up to the hype. It's not like the best book I've ever read. It has like 4.7 stars on Goodreads. It's one of the highest rated books I've ever seen. I think it is the highest rated book I've ever seen on Goodreads. It's not that good, but it's fine. Like, it's actually kind of more fun than I thought it was gonna be, so I'm intrigued, and I wanna know where the story is gonna go from here. It's not as fast-paced as everybody says it is either. Like, everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's so fast-paced. I'm like, it's a normal paced, I guess. It's not slow. So thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see how many of these books I'll actually read. I have obviously a lot of plans. How many books even was that? I don't even want to think, like 20 or more. If I can listen to the audiobooks, I can probably get through them. I'm actually going to be cleaning out my house. I'm doing the Marie Kondo method, what's it called? Like, does it spark joy, basically? I can't remember the name of the book, but like, you hold the item in your hand and it's like, does this spark joy? And then you can keep it. If not, it's got to go. So I'm going to do that method to like our entire house and all my clothes. And while I'm doing that, I think I will listen to a lot of audiobooks. So in fact, I've still got some schoolwork to do. I'm actually going to go do some school stuff right now because, well, I'm at school, obviously. So while I'm covering books and stuff, I'm going to be listening to Fourth Wing. But anyway, you'll hear about these in my wrap up, or you won't if I don't read them. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know down below if you are going to read any of these books, or if you have read any of these books and what you thought about them, so I know if I should read them or not. Okay, thank you guys so much, and I'll talk to you again later. Bye.